standing on the ground at marahil sasabihin nyo na hindi ako umaalis sa aking kinatatayuan. Haba-haba mga ka-AGHAMaze, dyan kayo nagkakamali dahil ang lupa sa ilalim ng ating mga paa ay gumagalaw din. Paano nangyari yon? Pero alam mo ba na ito rin ang dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon tayo ng pagkilig ng lupa o ang tinatawag nating earthquake. Pero bago yan, ano bang tinatawag na earthquake?
Disaster eh. Hindi tayo mapadaan mo. Sa tabo lang yun.
Sa ako, ang linog, isa siya ka makahalalit nga tiyo.
Pagtayong sa ta, kay mismo sa idalom sa atong planeta, nagabunggo bala ang duta, amo na nga nag-forsa sa babaw sa pagtayong.
Kung sa akon nga pag-intindi sina, bangod sa duta nga gaulog, damo epektuhan nga balay or mga building.
Experiencing earthquakes has been very frightening encounter for many of us. When you feel the earth shaking, your only wish is for it to stop and not to do more damage to many. According to the Institute of Volcanology and Seismology of PHIVOLCS, an earthquake is a weak to violent shaking of the ground produced by sudden movement of rock materials below the Earth's surface. A powerful earthquake can cause landslides, tsunamis, flooding, and other catastrophic events. That's because the shaking can cause windows to break, structures to collapse, fire, and other dangers. Bakit nga ba nagkakaroon ng earthquake? Ayon sa Greek mythology, Poseidon causes earthquake. Poseidon was the god of the sea, son of Kronos and Rhea. Poseidon was known to be a god with a bad temper. Stories were told that when he became angry, he would hit the ground with his trident, which caused earthquakes. Kaya tinagurian siyang Earth Shaker. Sa Pilipinas, may ganito ring mitolohiya. This is in the person of Bernardo Carpio, a legendary figure in Philippine mythology who is said to be the cause of earthquakes. He had a strength that is similar to that of Hercules. But Bernardo Carpio, a being of great strength, is trapped in between two great rocks in the mountains of Montalban and trying to break free. When Bernardo Carpio shrugs his shoulder, an earthquake occurs. Wow! I think that's an amazing story about the mythology of earthquake, Josel.
But you know, Tristan, it is just a fiction. No one can prove it's true. Tingnan natin mga ka-AGHAMaze kung ano nga ba ang paliwanag ng science sa pagkakaroon ng earthquake.
That's right, because science is a body of knowledge that is systematic and based on facts. Pero bago yan mga ka-AGHAMaze, alam niyo ba na hindi lamang sa Earth nangyayari ang lindol? Earthquake is a name for seismic activity on Earth. But Earth isn't the only place with seismic activity. Scientists have measured quakes on Earth's moon, called moonquakes, and see evidence for seismic activity on Mars, Venus, and several moons of Jupiter too. Noon, ano kayang tawag ng lindol sa Mars? Marsquakes. Kung Venus kaya?
Venus quakes!
Oo, ano naman yung tawag sa lindol sa bahay nyo? Alam ko yata yan. Housequakes yun! Uy, walang ganun! O siya mga ka-AGHAMaze, balik tayo sa kung paano nangyayari ang earthquake. Bakit nga ba nagkakaroon ng earthquake?
Siguro sa mga sa gadguro na yan. Siyempre, hindi man talaga balo kung masa lumatabo na.
Do natural phenomena na sabi ko ang linog. According sa science, lumunod.
Kasi ako nabasa sa Biblia, isa ini siya parts ng gintagna ni Jesus nga matabo sa kalibutan. Malapit na gila ang iyang pagbalik.
Hindi naman ginakuan, siyempre ang Ginoo marami na naka-intindi sila kung paano maabot sa ato ng tanan tao lang kita.
Well, according to science, here is the explanation. There are two types of earthquakes, the tectonic and volcanic earthquakes. First, let's talk about tectonic earthquakes. Even the Earth looks like a pretty solid material from the surface, it's actually extremely active just below the ground. The Earth is made of four basic layers: the crust, mantle, outer core, and inner core. The solid crust and top, stiff layer of the mantle compose a region called the lithosphere. The lithosphere isn't the continuous piece that wraps around the whole Earth like an eggshell. It's actually made of giant tassel pieces called the tectonic plates. Tectonic plates are constantly shifting as they drift around on the viscous or slowly flowing mantle layer below. This non-stop movement causes stress on Earth's crust. When the stresses get too large, it leads to cracks called faults. When tectonic plates move, it also causes movements at the faults. When faults slip past one another, a tectonic earthquake occurs. Volcanic earthquakes, on the other hand, is induced by rising lava or magma beneath active volcanoes. To better understand the occurrence of earthquake beneath the Earth's surface, let's make now a simple fault model.
So guys, what we are waiting for?
Let's go mga ka-AGHAMaze!
Let's go!
The procedure is to cut along the outlines of the drawings, then fold along the lines and paste where indicated. In the end, you have a model consisting of two parts that fit together.
Yay! And now we've made a fault model. So, mga ka-AGHAMaze, this is a fault model. And now, let's identify its basic parts.
A fault model is a representation of the part of the ground where fault is located. This model helps us visualize what's beneath the Earth's surface and how earthquake is developed. The flat surface where the fault slips is called the fault plane. The location below the Earth's surface where the earthquake begins is called the hypocenter or focus, and the location directly above the focus on the surface of the Earth is called the epicenter.
So this is where the epicenter is located. So as you can see, epicenter is located directly above the focus.
An earthquake's most intense shaking is often felt near the epicenter. However, the vibrations from an earthquake can still be felt and detected hundreds or even thousands of miles away from the epicenter. Speaking of detecting earthquakes, scientists use seismometers, a device to detect and record earthquakes. Maybe mga ka-AGHAMaze, isa ka sa mga nagtatanong kung anong tinatawag na magnitude.
Ano ba ang magnitude? Ano naman ang intensity?
There are two ways by which we can measure the strength of an earthquake: a magnitude and intensity. Magnitude is proportional to the energy released by the earthquake at the focus. It is represented by Arabic numbers. The greater the magnitude, the stronger is the earthquake. Intensity, on the other hand, is the strength of an earthquake as perceived and felt by people in a certain locality. It is a numerical rating based on the relative effects to people, objects, environment, and structures in the surroundings. The intensity is generally higher near the epicenter. It is represented by Roman numerals. In the Philippines, the intensity of an earthquake is determined using the PHIVOLCS Earthquake Intensity Scale or PEIS. Pero alam niyo ba mga ka-AGHAMaze kung ano ang strongest earthquake recorded in history? The most powerful earthquake ever recorded was in Chile. It occurred in May 22, 1960 with a magnitude of 9.5. Pero, paano nga ba ma-measure ang lakas ng isang lindol? Simple lang! The energy from an earthquake travels to Earth in vibrations called seismic waves. Scientists can measure these seismic waves on instruments called seismometer. A seismometer detects seismic waves below the instrument and records them as a series of zigzags. Scientists can determine the time, location, and intensity of an earthquake from the information recorded by a seismometer. At present, PHIVOLCS operates 108 as of December 2020 seismic monitoring stations all over the Philippines. These stations are equipped with seismometers that detect and record earthquakes. Data is sent to the PHIVOLCS Data Receiver Center or DRC to determine the earthquake parameters such as magnitude, depth of focus, and epicenter. Together with reported fault intensities in the area, if any, earthquake information is released once these data are determined. Ngayon, tayahin naman natin ang inyong nalalaman tungkol sa earthquake sa pamamagitan ng AGHAMazing quiz na ito. AGHAMazing question number 1. What do you call the smaller earthquakes that happen before a large earthquake in the same place? Letter A, aftershocks. Letter B, main shock. Letter C, foreshocks. And letter D, pre-shocks. The answer is letter C, foreshocks. Generally, mga ka-AGHAMaze, before and after a large earthquake, which is called the main shock, there will be smaller earthquakes. The ones that happen before a large earthquake in the same fault are called foreshocks, while the one that happens after the large earthquake are called aftershocks. Scientists don't really know if an earthquake is a foreshock until the bigger earthquake occurs. AGHAMazing question number 2. Shorter buildings are safer than taller ones. Letter A, true. Letter B, false. The correct answer is letter B, false. According to eBooks, taller buildings, especially new ones, can actually be safer than shorter structures such as residential buildings. During earthquake, lighter buildings will shake more, which are those shorter ones. The taller buildings, which are heavy, will also move, but not as much. More importantly, taller buildings are built by professional structure engineers. Isa sa mga dapat nating tandaan ng earthquake ay unpredictable. Earthquake can happen anytime or anywhere. The only thing that you can do is to educate yourself about earthquake management and be vigilant in times of disaster. You can also do the following precautionary measures before, during, and after the earthquake. Bago tayo magtapos, narito muna ang mga trivia amazing na hatid namin sa inyo tungkol sa earthquake. The deadliest earthquake ever recorded was happened on January 23, 1556 in Shanxi, China. Some 830,000 people are estimated to have died. An earthquake can affect the length of the day. The 2011 earthquake near Japan increased the Earth's rotation speed, shortening the day by 1.8 microseconds. The Pacific Ring of Fire is the most geologically active region of Earth. About 90% of the world's earthquakes occur along the Ring of Fire. Earthquakes kill approximately 8,000 people each year and have caused an estimated of 13 million deaths in the past 4,000 years. The earliest recorded earthquake was in China in 1831 BC. Parkfield, California is known as the earthquake capital of the world. It has about 10,000 earthquakes each year. This is Josel Villanueva
With Gerson Palacios.
And Mary Ann Olin.
brings you AGHAMazing stories.